They wear leather and scream to crowds of thousands, but some heavy metal stars go home to a life you'd never expect. We found rock gods who shop at Walmart, raise cattle on a quiet farm, and even mend their own clothes. You will be stunned by the star who rejected fame for a normal life. 1. Lemmy Kilmister. First up is a man who was more than a musician. He was a cultural icon. Ian Fraser Kilmister, known to the world simply as Lemmy, was the heart and soul of the band Motorhead. With his gravelly voice, thunderous bass playing, and signature mutton chops, Lemmy was the embodiment of rock and roll. Motorhead sold over 30 million albums worldwide. They were a constant, powerful force in music for 40 years. It's crazy to think about, but a man of his stature could have lived anywhere, in any kind of mansion he wanted. But Lemmy never did. For the last 25 years of his life, he lived in a small, rent-controlled two-bedroom apartment just off the Sunset Strip in Los Angeles. It was cluttered and chaotic, filled to the brim with the things he loved like books, historical artifacts, and memorabilia. It wasn't a palace, it was a den. It was his personal sanctuary. He famously said he was perfectly happy there because it was only 2 blocks from his favorite hangout, the Rainbow Bar and Grill, where he could be found almost every day playing the video poker machine. He didn't need a mansion because his real home was his community. His wealth was measured in friends and conversation, not square footage. He lived and passed on his own terms, a true original who never let fame change the core of who he was. Lemmy's choice to stay in a small apartment is legendary. But what about a founding father of heavy metal from one of the biggest bands of all time, who has a completely different reason for being careful with his cash? 2. Geezer Butler. Let's talk about the band that started it all, Black Sabbath. Right there from the very beginning, laying down the earth-shaking bass lines that would define the sound of heavy metal, was Geezer Butler. He wasn't just the bassist, he was also the band's main lyricist, the man who wrote the dark and iconic words to songs like War Pigs and Iron Man. Black Sabbath is a band that has sold over 70 million records. Their success is monumental. You might be wondering, what does a guy like that do with his money? Well, what's often overlooked is that Geezer Butler came from a very humble, working-class background in Aston, Birmingham. He grew up in a large Irish Catholic family with 6 other siblings, and they didn't have much. That kind of upbringing stays with a person. Despite the massive wealth he earned, Geezer has always been known for being incredibly careful with his money. He avoided the flashy rock star lifestyle that swallowed up so many of his peers. While others were buying fleets of cars and huge estates, Geezer was making smart, careful investments. He is a passionate vegan and animal rights activist, and much of his energy and resources go towards those causes rather than personal luxuries. He lives a comfortable but surprisingly normal life, proving that you can be a global rock icon without forgetting the value of a dollar. It's a lesson in financial sense from one of the godfathers of metal. Being sensible with money is one thing, but our next legend takes it to a whole other level, living a life so private and simple, you'd never know he was part of one of the biggest selling bands in the history of music. 3. Angus Young. When you think of a live rock and roll performance, few images are as iconic as Angus Young of AC/DC, dressed in his schoolboy uniform, duck-walking across a massive stage while playing lightning-fast guitar solos. AC/DC is a global juggernaut. They have sold over 200 million records, making them one of the best-selling artists of all time. Their album, Back in Black, is one of the biggest sellers in history. The level of wealth Angus Young has is almost unimaginable. So he must live in a giant, sprawling mansion with a lightning bolt-shaped pool, right? Not even close. Angus Young is one of the most intensely private and famously frugal rock stars on the planet. He has never been interested in the celebrity lifestyle. For decades, he has lived a quiet, unassuming life with his wife in a modest home in a suburb of Sydney, Australia. He shuns the spotlight, rarely gives interviews, and is almost never seen at celebrity parties or events. The thing is, for Angus, it has always been about the music and nothing else. The fame and fortune were just byproducts of his passion. He is known to be a humble, quiet man who enjoys simple pleasures like spending time with his family. It's a mind-blowing contrast. The man who is a tiny, electrifying ball of energy on stage is, in reality, a quiet homebody who values his privacy above all else. He proved that the loudest music can come from the quietest people. The quiet life of a legend is one thing, but what about a modern metal hero who has been incredibly open about his struggles and how they've shaped his very normal approach to life and money? 4. Kirk Windstein. From the world of stadium rock, let's head down to the swamps of New Orleans, the birthplace of sludge metal. Kirk Windstein is a legend in that scene, known for his powerful, heavy guitar riffs and soulful voice in bands like Crowbar and Down. These bands are hugely influential and have a dedicated global following. They are the definition of heavy. But what most people don't realize is that being a respected and influential musician doesn't always translate to big money. For much of his career, Kirk has lived a very normal, blue-collar life. He has been incredibly open and honest with his fans about his financial realities. There have been times when he has had to take on regular jobs to support his family between tours. He has spoken about the challenges of making a living in the modern music industry, where album sales are not what they used to be. He doesn't live in a mansion. He lives in a regular house and deals with the same everyday bills and stresses as anyone else. His honesty is refreshing. It's a powerful reminder that behind the powerful music and the tough exterior is a regular guy, a husband and a father, working hard to provide for his family with the incredible talent he has. He represents the reality for thousands of working musicians, even the legendary ones. These pioneers of metal have shown that fame doesn't have to change you. But the next generation of metalheads, the thrash metal titans of the 80s, had to navigate a whole new level of fame. You'd think they would have learned from the past, but one of them took the idea of a simple life to an extreme that will truly shock you. 5. Tom Araya, Slayer. Just the name itself sounds intimidating. They are one of the big four of thrash metal, known for their blistering speed, aggressive themes, and uncompromising sound. For nearly 40 years, they were one of the most intense and popular metal bands on the planet. At the front of it all was bassist and vocalist Tom Araya. His unique shouting vocal style and commanding stage presence made him a metal icon. With that kind of legendary status, you might picture Tom living in a dark castle somewhere in Los Angeles. The reality is about as far from that as you can get. The truth is, Tom Araya is a quiet, deeply religious family man. For many years, he has lived on a large ranch in a small town in Texas. He isn't interested in the Hollywood scene at all. Instead of going to rock clubs, he spends his time with his wife and 2 kids, raising cattle and enjoying the peace and quiet of the countryside. In interviews, he comes across as a gentle, soft-spoken man, a world away from the screaming frontman people see on stage. He made a conscious decision to step away from the chaotic life of a touring musician to focus on what mattered most to him: his family. He traded the mosh pit for a pasture, and he couldn't be happier about it. Tom Araya's quiet ranch life is a huge surprise, but another member of the Big Four found his own version of a simple life, not in the country, but by just being a regular dad in the middle of the city. 6. Scott Ian. As the rhythm guitarist and co-founder of Anthrax, another one of the Big Four, Scott Ian is a true thrash pioneer. With his signature long goatee and boundless energy on stage, he has been a driving force in metal for decades. Anthrax brought a whole new vibe to the scene, with a punk rock energy and a sense of humor that set them apart. Scott Ian now lives in Los Angeles, a city known for its glitz and glamour. But what many have overlooked is that he doesn't live the typical rock star life there. He is a dedicated husband and a very hands-on father to his son. On his social media, you are more likely to see pictures of him at a school event or on a family vacation than at a wild party. He has often spoken about the joys of fatherhood and living a relatively normal suburban life. While he is still a certified rock star who tours the world, his priority is his family. He has found a way to balance the life of a metal legend with the life of a regular dad. It's a cool reminder that even the guys who wrote some of the heaviest songs ever still have to help with homework. A family man in the city is one thing, but what about a thrash metal icon who, after years of living the fast life, made a complete 180-degree turn and embraced a life of discipline and quiet? 7. Dave Mustaine. The story of Dave Mustaine is one of the most dramatic in all of music. After being kicked out of Metallica in the early days, he went on to form Megadeth, another one of the most successful and influential thrash metal bands of all time. Fueled by a desire to be faster and heavier than his old band, Dave created a legacy of technically brilliant and aggressive music that has sold millions of records. For many years, Dave lived the life you'd expect from a rock star with a chip on his shoulder. It was a life of excess and turmoil. But as he got older, something changed. He found stability, embraced a cleaner lifestyle, and became a dedicated family man. Today, Dave Mustaine lives a life that would shock the fans of his early work. He lives on a quiet ranch in Tennessee, far away from the music industry hubs. A huge part of his life now is his passion for martial arts. He holds black belts in multiple disciplines and finds that the discipline and focus it requires helps him in all areas of his life. He also owns a vineyard and has become a savvy businessman. He traded the chaos of the past for the calm of the country, finding peace in family, discipline, and a new sense of purpose. These thrash legends show that a simple life can be a choice made after achieving success. But what about the modern metal stars who came up in a completely different era? You might be surprised to learn that one of the biggest and most recognizable voices in modern metal lives a life that is shockingly down to earth. 8. Corey Taylor. If you've listened to heavy music in the last 25 years, you know the voice of Corey Taylor. As the frontman for both the masked chaos of Slipknot and the hard rock powerhouse Stone Sour, Corey is one of the most famous and respected figures in modern metal. Slipknot, in particular, is a global phenomenon known for their intense live shows and massive, dedicated fan base. The thing is, despite being the singer for one of the biggest metal bands of the modern era, Corey Taylor has always remained incredibly grounded. He lives in Las Vegas, but he avoids the flashy casino lifestyle. He lives in a regular suburban house and is often seen doing normal things like grocery shopping or going to the movies. He is known for being extremely frugal. In interviews, he has talked about driving a sensible hybrid car and being very careful with his money. What many people find crazy is that he has said he still flies coach on airplanes most of the time. He sees no reason to spend thousands of dollars on a first-class ticket when a coach seat gets him to the same place. He is also a devoted father and husband. He has built a life that is stable and normal, a safe harbor from the chaotic world of Slipknot. Flying coach is pretty humble for a rock star. But what about a musician from another huge modern metal band who took his simple life a step further by building his own home? 9. Joe Duplantier. From the country of France comes the band Gojira, one of the most critically acclaimed and environmentally conscious metal bands in the world. Their music is a powerful mix of technical death metal and groove, with lyrics that often focus on nature and the environment. Leading the band is frontman and guitarist Joe Duplantier. Gojira has achieved worldwide success, but Joe has never embraced the rock star lifestyle. In fact, he has done the opposite. For years, he lived in a very rustic, self-built home in a rural part of France. More recently, he moved to New York City, but not to a fancy penthouse. He and his brother, who is the band's drummer, built their own recording studio in Brooklyn. Joe is a very hands-on guy. He is more interested in building things, whether it's a song, a studio, or a house, than he is in buying fancy things. His life is a reflection of his music's message. He lives a life that is focused on creativity, family, and a connection to the earth rather than material possessions. He is a true artist who lives his values every day. Building your own studio is impressive, but our next modern metal star has been incredibly open about the financial realities of being a musician and how he lives a life that is probably very similar to many of his fans. 10. Devin Townsend. Devin Townsend is a true musical genius. The Canadian artist is known for his work with the extreme metal band Strapping Young Lad and his incredibly diverse and prolific solo career. He has a massive cult following of fans who adore his complex, beautiful, and sometimes hilariously weird music. He is a one-of-a-kind talent, but what's often overlooked is that Devin is also one of the most honest and transparent artists when it comes to the business side of music. He has frequently discussed his finances publicly, explaining that even with his legendary status, he lives a solid middle-class life. He's not a millionaire. He lives in a regular house in a suburb of Vancouver, Canada, with his family. He has talked about the importance of budgeting and saving money to survive as a professional musician. He has even live-streamed himself working on his music from his modest home studio. His openness is a powerful dose of reality. It shows that in the modern music world, even for the most brilliant and beloved artists, a career in music is a job, a passion that requires hard work, business sense, and a humble approach to life. 11. Michael Poulsen. Let's head over to Denmark to talk about the band Volbeat. They have a completely unique sound, a mix of heavy metal, rock and roll, and rockabilly that has earned them a massive global fan base. They sell out arenas all over the world. Their frontman and main songwriter is Michael Poulsen. Despite this huge international success, Michael remains deeply connected to his roots in Denmark. He has never moved to Los Angeles or London. He continues to live a relatively quiet and normal life in his home country. He is a proud father and prefers spending his time off the road with his family rather than living a public life. He has invested his money wisely, but he doesn't live a flashy lifestyle. He has said that his biggest luxury is his collection of old records and vintage memorabilia. For him, the simple things are what matter most. He is another example of a modern rock star who has found a way to achieve global fame while staying true to himself and the place he calls home. These modern stars have a new perspective on fame, but to find the most extreme examples of a humble life, we have to travel to the cold, dark north, to a scene where rejecting fame is a core part of the philosophy. You will not believe the story of the black metal icon who was accidentally elected to his town council. 12th, Fenriz. The band Darkthrone is one of the most legendary and influential bands in the history of black metal. They are pioneers of the Norwegian scene. One of the band's two core members is Gylve Nagel, better known as Fenriz. Darkthrone has never played live, never chased fame, and has always made music on their own terms. The thing is, Fenriz has a day job. For many years, he has worked in the postal service in Norway. He lives a very quiet, simple life. He is a huge music fan and spends his time listening to records, hiking in the forest, and working on his own music. The most famous story about him perfectly sums up his life. A few years ago, he was asked to be on a backup list of potential candidates for his local town council. He agreed, thinking he would never get chosen. He even used a picture of himself holding his cat with the caption, "Please don't vote for me." But the people of his town thought it was hilarious and elected him anyway. He was forced to serve on the town council against his will. It's the perfect story for a man who has actively avoided the spotlight his entire life, only to have it find him in the most normal way possible. Working at the post office is pretty extreme. But what about another black metal pioneer who became a music teacher and a respected member of his community? 13. Ihsahn. The band Emperor is another one of the godfathers of the Norwegian black metal scene. Their music was complex, symphonic, and groundbreaking. The leader of the band was a young man named Vegard Tveiten, known to the world as Ihsahn. He was a musical prodigy who was creating incredibly advanced music while still in his teens. After the classic era of Emperor, Ihsahn went on to have a very successful and critically acclaimed solo career. But he didn't move to a big city to chase fame. Instead, he stayed in his hometown of Notodden, Norway. What most people don't realize is that for many years, alongside his own music career, Ihsahn worked as a music teacher at the local school. He is a respected family man and a pillar of his local community. He has spoken about how he finds balance in his life by separating his creative work as Ihsahn from his normal life as a husband, father, and teacher. He is proof that an artist can create some of the most extreme and challenging music in the world while living a life of quiet dignity and normalcy. These Norwegian legends chose a simple path. But what about a legend from the American death metal scene, a man whose life was tragically cut short, but who always remained true to his humble roots? 14. Chuck Schuldiner. Chuck Schuldiner was the visionary behind the band Death, one of the most important and influential death metal bands of all time. He was a pioneer, constantly pushing the boundaries of the genre and creating music that was both brutally heavy and incredibly technical and melodic. He is widely considered to be the godfather of death metal. Despite his legendary status, Chuck was a very down-to-earth and private person. He never got caught up in the rock star lifestyle. He lived a simple life in Florida, focused entirely on his music. He was known for his love of his pets, especially his dogs. His life revolved around writing music, recording, and spending time with his family and his animals. He wasn't interested in fame or money. His passion was for creating the best music he possibly could. Sadly, Chuck passed away from a brain tumor at a young age, but he left behind a legacy of incredible music and an example of an artist who was completely dedicated to his craft and who never let the outside world corrupt his vision. These figures from the extreme metal world made a conscious choice to reject fame. But our final group of musicians includes some of the biggest names in all of rock. These are the guys you would absolutely expect to be living in palaces, but their real lives are going to leave you speechless. 15. Bruce Dickinson. As the frontman of Iron Maiden, Bruce Dickinson is a true living legend. He is known for his powerful operatic voice and his incredibly energetic stage presence. Iron Maiden is one of the most successful heavy metal bands in history, selling over 100 million albums and playing to sold-out stadiums all over the globe for decades. You might be wondering what a man like that does in his spare time. The answer is mind-blowing. Bruce Dickinson is a licensed airline pilot. For many years, he flew Boeing 757s as a captain for a commercial airline. He even famously piloted Iron Maiden's own customized jumbo jet, Ed Force One, on their world tours. But that's not all. He is also a world-class fencer, an author, a radio host, and a successful businessman. What's often overlooked is his attitude towards money. He is famously frugal. He has talked about mending his own clothes and buying his jeans from regular department stores. He sees no point in spending money on designer labels. For Bruce, life isn't about luxury. It's about learning, doing, and experiencing new things. He is a true Renaissance man who just happens to be one of the greatest heavy metal singers of all time. Being a pilot is a pretty unique side gig. But what about a member of the biggest metal band of them all? A man who stepped away from the chaos to find peace in a very earthy and surprising hobby. 16. James Hetfield, Metallica. They are, without a doubt, the biggest heavy metal band in the history of the world. Their success is on a level that is hard to even comprehend. As the band's rhythm guitarist and iconic frontman, James Hetfield is one of the most recognizable faces in all of music. The wealth he has accumulated is immense. For many years, James lived the life you would expect. But as he's gotten older, he has made a very conscious shift towards a more grounded and simple existence. He moved his family from the busy Bay Area of California to the quiet mountains of Colorado. He wanted to raise his children in a place where they could be connected to nature. What many people find crazy is that he has taken up some very humble hobbies. He is an avid beekeeper, finding peace and a sense of purpose in caring for his hives. He has also become a skilled woodworker and welder, building custom furniture and art from scratch. He has found a new kind of satisfaction in working with his hands and creating tangible things, a world away from the abstract chaos of the music business. The man whose roar has been heard by millions now finds joy in the quiet buzz of bees. From beekeeping to a quiet life in Arizona, our next star is another Judas Priest legend who has completely rejected the rock and roll scene. 17. Rob Halford. Rob Halford is the metal god. As the singer for Judas Priest, his soaring, multi-octave voice and his iconic leather and studs look to define the image of heavy metal for a generation. Judas Priest has sold over 50 million albums and created some of the most timeless anthems in the genre. But the man behind the metal god persona is a much quieter and more private individual. Rob Halford has lived for many years in a comfortable but not extravagant home in Phoenix, Arizona. He chose to live there to be far away from the music industry centers of Los Angeles and New York. He values his privacy and his quiet life. He is a man who loves his cats and enjoys the peace of his home. He has spoken about how, after the intensity of a tour, he needs that quiet time to recharge and be himself. He separated the larger-than-life character he is on stage from the person he is at home. It's a powerful lesson in how to maintain a sense of self in the face of massive fame. 18. Mikael Åkerfeldt. Let's talk about the Swedish progressive metal masters Opeth. Their music is a breathtaking journey, shifting from beautiful acoustic passages to brutal death metal growls. At the center of it all is the band's leader, Mikael Åkerfeldt. He is a musical genius, revered for his songwriting, guitar playing, and his incredible vocal range. Despite being a hero to prog metal fans around the world, Mikael lives a very simple life in Stockholm, Sweden. He is a devoted family man. His biggest passion outside of making music is collecting vinyl records. He is a huge music nerd at heart. He has said in interviews that he has never been interested in the financial side of the music industry. He doesn't even know how much money he has. He just wants to have enough to live comfortably, support his family, and be able to buy the records he wants. He is a pure artist, driven by his love for music above all else. His life is a testament to the idea that the greatest reward for making art is simply the ability to keep making it. 19. Bill Ward. Going back to the very beginning, Bill Ward was the original drummer for Black Sabbath. His unique, jazz-influenced style was a crucial part of the band's groundbreaking sound. He was there for the band's golden era, a part of one of the most legendary stories in music. But Bill's journey after his initial time with Sabbath was a difficult one. He battled many personal demons and, for the most part, has lived a life completely removed from the rock star world. He lives a very quiet and private life in Southern California. He is a humble, soft-spoken man who has focused on his own solo music, his art, and his health. He doesn't live a life of luxury. He has lived a life that has been, at times, a struggle. His story is a powerful reminder of the human cost that can come with incredible fame at a young age, and the strength it takes to find peace and a quiet life on the other side. 20. Nergal. Our final star is Adam Darsky. better known as Nergal, the charismatic and controversial frontman of the Polish blackened death metal band, Behemoth. They are one of the biggest and most successful bands in the extreme metal world, known for their elaborate and theatrical live shows. You would think a man with such a demonic stage persona would live in a dark fortress. But Nergal is actually a very intelligent and savvy businessman. He lives a life that is comfortable, but far from the excessive rock star cliché. He owns a barber shop in his native Poland and has other business ventures. He is a health and fitness enthusiast. While he has certainly had his share of public attention and controversy in Poland, his personal life is one of discipline and focus. He has built a successful brand and career through hard work and intelligence, proving that even the most extreme artist can have a very grounded and practical approach to life. For anyone watching this, it's easy to get caught up in the image of the rock star, the money, the fame, the wild stories. But the thing is, what these 20 musicians have shown us is that the image is often just that, an image. The reality is that these are real people with real values who have made a choice. They chose family over fame, peace over parties, and passion over possessions. Are we missing a key detail that explains why so many of these heavy metal heroes chose the simple life? Maybe the answer is in the music itself. Heavy metal has always been music for the underdog, for the outsider. It's music with a strong sense of honesty and integrity. And maybe, just maybe, these artists are just living the values that their music has preached all along.